Are we positioned?
Hello.
There we go.
Yay. I guess we are live now. It's a little after 4:30. Thank you for joining us. I'm Coach Adame. I'm the PE teacher over at Pathfinder Achievement Center. If you're not familiar with that campus, it's one of the educational facilities that houses our special ed students for the district, and is formerly the CBC. So we're here today to talk about diversity in the classroom. That's our topic. And we met with other I3s and with Brian Dean. He shared some really great information about how to incorporate Google Classroom in using our iPads. And really, it spoke to me because of the way that we're going to use our iPads individually and the kind of diversity that you can incorporate in your classroom. And at my particular facility and at John's over here at the AEC, you'll be meeting John later, you'll get a chance to really use these in the classroom because you can individualize the different assignments to the needs of the student. And that, I thought that was really important, especially for our kids. Our particular situation at Pathfinder Achievement Center is unique because our students are restricted with the iPads on a lot of different levels, but I still give them the opportunity to do assignments for me as the PE teacher within their own classrooms. And we're able to build upon that at their different reading level, at their different pace as well. And sometimes, you know, at my particular school, we may not see them on a regular basis. Maybe they're taking longer breaks, they need frequent breaks based on their individual IEPs and their behavior plans. So it's very unique, but the assignments are there at their fingertips whenever they're ready to start working on them. So I'm going to take you over to, John's going to help me, to my page where we can show you what we're doing. Okay, and basically when you go to your basic Google screen, you're gonna have all your different apps. If you don't have the classroom on your immediate, at your immediate fingertips, just keep Googling down, even more Googles. You're getting more familiar with Hangout now. And then at the very bottom, it can also look at our products. So once you're like, oh, where am I? See all the products. And they'll list everything. There's so many products available, and they're quite helpful. But we're going to look at the Google Classroom. So you can see I'm clicking on that. This little picture looks like an old-fashioned chalkboard, if you know what those are. All right, in Google Classroom, you have the opportunity to set up different folders. So I've already set up 2 different folders. One of the folders that I've set up is called the Healthy Zone Students. I was very fortunate to receive a grant, and this grant helps us promote and create awareness for health, healthy choices, healthy living, physical activity, all that kind of stuff. And this is something that we're using in all the classrooms. Underneath it, you see I've got an HS, which stands for my high school students, and at Pathfinder, I have elementary, middle school, and high schooler. So all ages can take advantage of using this. Elementary kids do not have an iPad at this point. However, you can go onto your home screen computer and you can use this on the computer and put it up on the screen, on the projector, and talk about it as a class. And then the teacher can go, or you can have one of your students have access to the keyboard and type in the answers as a class project. So we're going to just click on it real quick. It shows I've got 1 student. Yay. In the Healthy Zone Student folder, you'll see 3 different headings here: Stream, Students, and About. The stream is basically what you see in front of you right now. It's highlighted, and it shows 2 different assignments, which I'll get back to. It also has our students, and here's where it gets into the diversity part of it. You can choose which students are going to be in this area. So again, I've created a folder especially for high school, but you could break it down into subfolders for middle school, or you could break it up into AB classes, or however you want to break up the folder. But you can come back here for the students area and assign or give out this class code specifically for this assignment. So for example, if you have a student who may be in your high school program, but they need some different individualized, maybe simpler instructions, or maybe they need pictures or just some other prompts, all of those students can be assigned the same class code, and then they would have access to the same assignment. So it's not necessarily by the class level or per actually a class. You're grouping your students the way you want to, or the way is going to best meet their needs. So I've got 2 assignments I have fabricated here. You see there's also some due dates written here. This one is called Field Up to Play 60 Kickoff. And underneath it, a bit of a paragraph. It's got a lot more information, a lot more reading. So that may be a little bit more of a challenge for some of my students. The second one, straightforward. It's got a assignment that says research the types of vegetables and fruit plants that will grow well in the North Garden. What are the plant's requirements? For example, sun and water. So it's a basic prompt that can be a classroom discussion. One of my classes is using that as a classroom discussion first, and then they can go back and, if they have access to their iPads, then go in and input individually based on their class code. So for my IEPs, they can be read to the students specifically, and then the students can individually go to their own iPad code and give me some information. So kids are not accessing each other's stuff. This is strictly for you to be able to put some assignments that they can go back to and refer back to. Let's see. So the first one, again, you see it says Field Up to Play 60 Kickoff. It's not graded yet, but I can give it some graded points. Got it. I'm going to close that. And on the side, it shows the different students I have available. It shows if it's completed or not. And then, let's see, you can look specifically just at the instructions. I can go in as a teacher, add comments to continue that discussion if necessary, or to assist with additional prompts. So again, adding some diversity to how they're learning and getting the information. You can break it up into topics, but I'm going to go over here to this side where I can go to the calendar. Remember I mentioned the dates that they're due? You'll have a calendar that will demonstrate when assignments are due. So you see for this week, I don't have anything assigned that is due. So they're working on it right now in the classrooms. They're discussing the types of plants that may be using, maybe access to research books, and they're going to then, when they have that time, get it in there, but they have up until March 3rd to actually give me an answer, to give me the answer to this assignment. Okay, so there it is listed in the calendar, which is nice. If I continue, it shows me the last assignment before our spring break. Woo, getting close, look at that. 1, 2, is it possible? Yikes. All right, so we've got these assignments here again, and it's all linked together, which is really nice. So let's go back again to what I have written over here on the side. So creating folders. How do we get these folders created? Let me go back to our classes. So here's our Google Classroom, the different folders, and as you can see right over here next to my email, and feel free to send me an email if you have any questions, reach out to me. It sounds kind of quiet over there, John. Yes, there's no questions yet. Well, we will have some time at the end for some Q&A if you have any questions. And then here's how we're going to create a class. So, and as well as join a class. So your students or whoever else you want to invite. So for example, you may have seen I had a couple of names listed there. I can invite the teacher to join this class, and then they can open that up to discussion. But we're not going to join the class. Here's where you would put the code. Cancel that. But we're going to create a class. This part here is where we would give that a name. So maybe Healthy Zone students. And then the subsection over here might be my middle school. Okay, and then whatever subject I want, we're up for discussion. Maybe it's sciences. Okay, we've got a lot of teachers using our garden for sciences. I have a wonderful teacher. I'm going to give a shout out to Miss Dolph. Gamel's over there I know you're science, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And, you know, and they use these gardens to create really wonderful natural research projects. The kids are very excited about it. They had some hands-on, and then now we're going to get to the thick of it. So we would create it right here, and then as it's creating it, you'll see it eventually pop up over here on the side. Oh, look, there's some information. Here's our middle school. Nothing has been assigned to them yet. I can attach materials, YouTube videos, a lot like the webinar that I'm doing right now. You can go into Google Docs and add presentations. You can, that way they can go back and refresh their memory about what they're talking about. Maybe you do have a science presentation that your science teacher linked to you, or maybe you have a reading opportunity, an article that someone has sent to you. You can download that and put it back up there in your Google Docs and add all of this. And this is great also for, you know, our different learners who need more visual, or maybe they need something that's read to them. You can add different topics as well. It's a great opportunity to get some very great vocabulary in there. All right, let me see. I think we're about to wrap it up with me. And so before we do, does anybody have any questions related to the Google Classroom? I'm going to do my best to answer any questions. This is still kind of a pilot for us at PAC, and then we're going to hand it over to John. Any questions?
We've had one question. It's already been answered via the chats between Brian and I. So
okay, yeah, I hope that's good.
I think we're good, other than everybody has access to Google Classrooms,
yes.
Elementary, middle school, and high school.
Yeah, and as I said, for example, so my elementary students do not have access to iPads, but this is something you can use on your projector in the classroom for discussion. And I love that I, as a PE teacher, can really do some cross-learning here. For example, with the gardening, that's a very physically active opportunity for us to get out there and, you know, be in the natural environment, to be active. I love it as purposeful physical activity, but also the students have some buy-in to it because they're using their brain thinking about it. They're very excited. So that's engaging them from the classroom to the outside environment. And that ownership in the garden also is creating some really important character development, some community skills, and some social skills in our group. And I'm very excited about that. So PE and our cross programs working together as a team. I appreciate the coordination from my whole campus. And John's going to do his magic here and change screens, I think. And thank you.
Sure. All right, so they're all right there, just whatever. Something. All right. Yes, I will pull my face up in just a moment here and say hello. In just a second to switch back from the other screens. And there we go. Hello. Yeah, my name is John Gamble. I'm over here at AEC, Alternative Education Center, and we too have a unique group of young people that come in and out of our facility. Much like other facilities like this, you get kids that are from all walks of life. There's not one that fits in a certain place all the time. And the thing is, they're all kids. They might have done things maybe they shouldn't have done, but hey, you know, we want them to have a learning environment that's the best for them, best we can provide for them. And that's where the differentiated instruction comes in so useful in the midst of everything, using our technology and understanding that kids are plugged in. And there's a time to unplug, but while they're here, we also want to use those tools to engage them as best as possible. And I'll show you one way that I've done that. And we'll kind of roll with that. It also has to do with Google Classroom, and I'll switch over there in just a moment. We will go. I do teach the middle school over here, and but we have a lot of incorporation that our teachers use, both high school and middle school. Both I use 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and they're a challenge, but gives me more of a challenge as well to grow. So give me a moment here. I'll switch over to my other screens, And if you have any questions, again, Marcy is over at the iPad, and she will be able to answer questions via the chat room there. Feel free to do so and enjoy that. All right. Go. Okay. Now, you guys should have already figured out kind of how to get into your Google Classroom. I'm already in mine. And if you can see right here, we have the code that if you needed to get in here like mine, you can just put this code in, automatically enter a kid into your classroom, and have them be able to get into the assignments and see what they need to do. So I'm going to switch over to my stream. So when my kids log in, usually I have a message that's set up here and welcome to the class and etc. And then they can scroll on down and maybe a question or two to kind of get them going for the day. Instead of a place for a bell ringer that you may do on paper, this is one that you could do via the classroom on Google Classroom. And the kids, each one, they're sitting at their computers. I take mine to the computer lab, or I check out the iPads from the computer lab in the cart that we do have still at the school here, and they can use them in the classroom and log in. They can do their stuff right there within the classroom here. So that's nice to have as well. Once they get in there, such as my kids, let's say, for example, what I'm about to do here is for one of my classes, we were doing the phases of the moon. And some of my kids were not doing real well with the paper aspect of it. They could give me some stuff audibly as well, but I wanted them to see some stuff visually and actually see the phases of the moon. And in order to do that, to give them some of their self-paced is, and also give me some feedback, I found a video online and used a portion of that video and broke it down to where it has questions in it. Now, I did use the program called Edpuzzle that you can use and incorporate into your Google Classroom. I don't have time to go into everything that you can do through that. There is another webinar. I'm not certain, I cannot remember off the top of my head who is doing that one, but they are doing a webinar over Edpuzzle. So be on the lookout for that. They might have already done it. So just keep your eyes open for that. It's a great addition to Google Classroom and allows you to go capture videos that are for educational purposes through Khan Academy, YouTube, and other sources in order to use in your classroom, but also incorporates some questions in the midst of it. So while your student's watching it, it'll stop at certain points where you put the questions in, and the student has to use what they've already heard in order to answer the question. And so once they put the question in and hit go the next button, it plays the next part of the video until the next question and stops. And I'm going to illustrate that here for a moment so you can see another way to engage the student. So I click on my Edpuzzle link, and I'm going to go in as a student, and I'm going to sign in to the account.
And then just let Miriam know, we'll answer her question in just a minute.
All right, Miriam, we will answer your question in just a momento. If I can talk, that'd be great. And join the class. It will do what it's supposed to do here. And there we go. Here we go. Okay. And I think I should have logged in as.
I can answer Miriam's question. if you
Okay,
need
go
some.
ahead. Yes.
So this is Coach Adame again, and Miriam's question was, if you have an attachment, a document for the students to work on, how does that work with the iPads? How is it that they write on that document? And really, there's a couple things you could do. We could go back to if they're seeing it on their iPad, they can still just use some old-fashioned paper and pencil and write the answers there. That's one way, depending on, so it's basically like if you had written the question on your board and they're referring back to giving the answer that way. So they wouldn't necessarily have to put it back on the iPad. They could write all their answers down for the moment and then go back to maybe an answer form that you do have on the iPad and then submit it that way. So you could have a Word document that they could access and then give their answers there, something that's already pre-set up as a answer document for you. But they could initially write it down on paper and pen, and then go back and put their answers in once they needed to. That's one way. I mean, that'd be like the straight up simplest way. Again, I'm the PE teacher, so having access to electronics, iPads, and a lot of things isn't always going to be my first go-to. But when I can, clipboards, paper, pencils, and we might all be sitting around one iPad together based on what we have access to. So I think in regards to I hope that answered the question in regards to how do you turn in your work. There might be some other ways certainly that you can do that with the iPads. And John, if you're ready, maybe you can answer that now or later.
Repeat that last part with the question.
So in regards to how do you do the work with the iPads? How is it that they write on that document if there's an attachment?
Well, if there's an attachment, and if it's in Google Docs, you'll already have like areas where they can type into boxes, text boxes, or inside a graph or whatever you've set up already that they can put their answers into. So they just use the iPad to type onto it. Or if it's another program that may be one that you could draw on, then they could just use your finger as a stylus to draw on it.
Yes.
And that would give them answer.
Yes. And I think Brian kind of answered that with them too.
Awesome.
Thank you, Brian.
Good stuff. All right. So finally, I got this pulled up. I just hit the wrong button a while ago, and that's the way life goes. So I'm back in, and this is Phase of the Moon. And to give you an illustration here, I'm going to hit the play button and kind of roll with it here. So you see it starts out.
The brightest and most noticeable object in the night sky. But if you spend much time observing it, you will see that the moon is never quite the same from one night to the next.
So as it starts out, it goes to this where I put the first question mark, and I've already put a question in there. And the question here is, what is one fact you already know about the moon and its phases? And once it has stops there, then the student puts in their answer. It'll be down here, and then they will hit continue, and it goes to the next one. And you can see where the next question mark is. So if I hit continue as if I answered it, it'll continue playing.
Something we call phases, which means that it appears to change shape a little bit every night. To understand why this.
So the student listens. I'm going to fast forward through part of this and get to right here. And you can't go past the question. That's the great thing. It won't let you. So the student cannot fast forward through the video either. But this will be able to, where they can watch it and have a little bit of control over how fast they can rewind and listen to it again before they answer. So we get to that. I'm going to go here. So
around the sun, 1 year. The moon completes its orbit around the Earth in only 29.5 days.
So the question, how many days did it take for the moon to orbit the Earth? 29.5 days or 29.5, whatever it is that they answer, you know that they've got it. If they answer 27, obviously you know they didn't listen to it, or they're not really getting the information. And that can give you an idea of where they are as well. So this is just another tool, again, for those kids who may be more audio visual, that you have a way that you can teach them while you're working with maybe your other group of children that's in the classroom, and working with them maybe one-on-one while the other students are doing this. And if possibly, I have used this as in a full class setting where I've got all my students and we're going through it, and they can answer the questions together or out loud, or I might give them choices, and that way they can answer from the choices. And that way I know that they're paying attention or not and getting the information. Again, just different ways in which you can use the Google Classrooms and go to different aspects using things like Edpuzzle. And this is, again, just another way to go about everything. So once they get it in, you can see down here which ones may be done, which ones are not done. and do your grading from there and move on. So that is, in a nutshell, another way that we've used some things to help our students. And we are coming closer to the end of our cast right now. And I was going to see if we maybe have any other questions or any concerns in the midst of everything. We appreciate everybody who's been here today. And I'm going to leave the chat open after I stop the broadcast for a little bit in case anybody does have some other questions. You can remain in the chat room. And we'll also be putting the link in a moment for those of you in attendance where you can get your credit for seeing the course and being here with us. And Marcy, I appreciate you being here and the information that you've given as well.
Yeah, I'd like to just really close in saying I like Google Classroom a lot and what you can do with it. Oh, hey. And but I really like how it can be at their own pace, and I think that's really important for our kids. They're on a whole different schedule, you know, individually. That's why they're with us, really. And it helps them be more successful because they can return to those assignments when they're able to focus on those assignments. It's going to do them no good to try and force the kids to sit down during a 50-minute time period and say, okay, you've got 50 minutes to get this done. You know, if they're upset or anxious or whatever's going on and totally distracted, but they can return to these assignments at their own pace. Correct. So I find that it's great. Also, I'm looking forward to the different kinds of assignments I can set up. And I don't want to keep y'all. I guess we're going to go ahead and post that link so that check your chat.
Yes.
Here it comes. Yep, it should all be ready to go. I hope that looks like a link that it looks like it'll work. Brian, I hope you.
that is it.
That
should work.
So I guess you'll have to close out of this and then type that in.
Yes, they'll have to go to the window and type it in, and then they'll take them to the. I believe it's a doc form and put in their information and give them credit. So I'm going to shut myself off.